Hello and welcome to The Movies Made Us Do It. Me and Matt are back after another little break. How you doing, Matt?
Hello, I'm good.
Excellent. There's not much coming out at the moment. It's difficult. I've really struggled. We've had like 2.5 weeks by the time we record this, and I still haven't seen much.
No, I think that's it. It's. I think the thing is that I keep finding things on sort of like Amazon, but the dates are wrong.
Yeah, the dates on some things are. Some of them aren't even dates anymore.
No.
When you look at the numbers, I'm like, what does that even mean? That's not a date.
I got really excited the other day. I found like 3 movies that were all like 2020, and I'm like, oh, 2020 movies, great! We can watch those, and then I looked them up, and it's like 2013, 2016. Yep. It's like, what the fuck, man?
and that's even if the dates make sense. Sometimes you get dates that aren't even dates.
No.
It's just numbers, and I'm like, what even is that? I don't know. I mean, the one film I have seen to review here was from 2019, but I was like, okay, well, it was trending on Netflix, so close enough.
I think that's it. I think we just got to sort of do anything that's vaguely in the last sort of year or so.
yeah, I think so. Yeah, because I didn't even know this movie happened. But so, have you seen some films?
I have. I've seen at least 2 that came out this year.
Great. Well, do you want to start with one of those?
I can, yeah. So I will start with one that came out last week, I think, or possibly
last week.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Eurovision Song Contest: The Story of Fire Saga.
Oh, I saw the picture, and that was enough to kind of put me off. But I did think, oh, maybe it will be quite, a good comedy. I don't know. How was it?
Will Ferrell for me is a bit hit and miss.
Well, I'm surprised you watched this for that reason, because I thought you were not a fan of his at all.
There are certain movies he's in that I really love.
Okay.
I love Anchorman. I think Anchorman is brilliant.
Anchorman's superb.
Yeah.
I actually have exactly the same opinion of him as you do. I think when he hits or when he's cast in the right role, he's fantastic. But I'm not a fan of the quote unquote Will Ferrell movie.
No, I mean, I'm trying to find there's a one that I really like where he's like almost a normal person. Where is it? It's the one with Emma Thompson.
Oh, I'm not entirely sure.
He's just a normal person, and he keeps hearing Emma Thompson's voice narrating his life.
Okay, that sounds quite funny.
She's basically writing him. It's really weird.
Oh, I don't think I've seen that, but that sounds really like interesting.
It's really good, and I just can't find it on his thingy here.
Oh,
but yeah, I mean, there's a few things he's appeared in that I like him in Zoolander. I thought he was great as the bad guy in Zoolander.
I quite enjoyed Step Brothers. Was it Step Brothers?
Step Brothers I couldn't get into.
I quite liked that one. That was one of the few where it was kind of very Will Ferrell-y, and I actually enjoyed it. I thought it kind of worked.
Yeah.
But he's hit and miss.
I certainly wasn't going to touch that Sherlock Holmes movie with a barge pole.
Oh no.
No.
I think we both shot on that while we were doing the movie show. Like the second that even was announced, we were like, no.
That can definitely. Stranger Than Fiction. That's what that movie is.
I will check that out because that's a funny premise, and I kind of like it.
It's good. It's a good one. So this one basically, I thought, well, it's brand new, and believe it or not, I actually like the Eurovision Song Contest.
My girlfriend is like the biggest fan of the Eurovision Song Contest ever. I am not particularly a fan. I will watch it with friends if that's what people want to do.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't watch it by myself.
Well, my
I wouldn't say I hate it.
No,
like if friends are like, yeah, sure, and as a family thing. Cool.
And we used to do sort of like, we used to pick a country and we'd have bets on, how they would do. And I don't think I won a single one.
So my girlfriend is planning. She wanted to do it this year, but obviously, with
Yes.
the virus, that was not going to happen.
Yeah.
So she wants to do a Eurovision Song Contest party where everyone has to dress up as one of the countries. So you have to do something
That.
in the style of the country and bring a food of the country, and then we will meet and do that. So I'm up for that. It's something I don't hate it. Let's put it that
No.
way. Like if friends are like, even my girlfriend is like, come to the pub and watch football with me. I'm like, no. But the Eurovision Song Contest, if someone's like, "Oh, come around my house," or "Let's go and watch Eurovision Song Contest with a group of people," I'm like, "Yeah, sure, that could be fun."
I think in recent years, because there are so many countries taking part these days,
Mm.
because there are like so many heats before you actually get to the Eurovision Song Contest anymore, that I think they weed out all the really weird ones now.
That's a
So
shame.
so the last couple of years, I don't think it's been quite as entertainingly weird as it used
No,
to
I
be.
want the weird stuff. That's
That's
why I'm
exactly it.
watching.
I like all the sort of like, otherwise I don't think Lordy would be
No,
would
Lordy,
even
Lordy
make it
was
past the semi-finals now.
no,
I don't think.
Lordy were amazing. That
Yeah,
was such a funny year.
it was such a great
Um,
year. That was. One
yeah,
one
they've
of my
had some real
personal
good stuff on.
favorites was a few years back when Germany had this song, and they started singing, and it was like, yeah, our song's terrible, but look what we've got. And then they introduced Dieter Von Teese, who proceeded to dance,
Amazing.
and it was like, now see, that's why you watch Eurovision, for the
Yeah,
absolutely weird shit, like somebody
yeah.
bringing Dieter Von Teese out.
I like the really I enjoy the really abstract arty ones that are just like,
Yeah,
what the fuck am I watching?
like
Like that's what I'm watching Eurovision for.
exactly. And I think in the last couple of years, I think there's a lot more sort of like all the sort of more sort of homogenized, all the same sounding stuff, which isn't
That's
quite
a
as, but anyway, having this, that's neither here nor there for this movie. So
This is
it's
based on a true story, right?
no,
It's not. Okay, I thought it was
based on
based on a
true
true story. Okay.
no, it's so basically what is Will Ferrell's wife, I think, is Swedish.
Okay.
So um she basically got him into watching it, and he sort of became vaguely obsessed by it,
Okay.
and decided that he was going to do a movie about sort of the Eurovision Song Contest. And I think maybe last year or the year before, he had like complete access to it, and he was sort of like wandered round, and he was allowed to sort of do all anything
Oh,
he sort
okay.
of wanted, and so he sort of really got into it. And basically, this is the this is what came out of.
This is the result.
Yeah, this is the result. So it's Will Ferrell playing Lars Eriksson, and Rachel McAdams playing Sigrid Erik's daughter.
Hmm.
And in the very beginning of the movie, you've got these sort of, it's 1973. I want to say, could be wrong, but it's the year that ABBA sort of first appeared and won.
Sure. Okay.
So they play this he's this one. This
I mean,
kid
that's
who's
what I
just
guess everyone. That's what everyone kind of considers the peak, right? That's like
Yeah,
the
absolutely.
Eurovision moment, right? When people think of Eurovision,
Yeah.
certainly like my parents' generation, it's like that's the Eurovision they're thinking of.
I think there is a sort of collective memory of Eurovision being mostly 70s.
Yeah, it
I think
still
that's what
feels
it is.
it's a very 70s thing, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think it leading up to sort of like the 80s where you get Bugs Fizz and stuff. I think there's
Mm.
a sort of that sort of period is where I think most people's conscious seems to be with the
Yeah.
So he excuse me.
It's quite all right.
So
I
this-
love that it's set in the 70s. That is perfect.
Well, only the beginning is.
Right.
So you've got this small boy who's just lost his mother,
Mhm.
and I think he's sort of like not sort of speaking or anything like that, and he's sat on the stairs, and the Eurovision Song Contest is there, and all these sort of family and friends of his dad of there. His dad's played by Piers Brosnan.
Wonderful. Pierce Brosnan is having a great career now. He
is,
seems to have
yeah.
had like he's come back with a vengeance in recent years.
Well, that's it. There's also that he was in those Mamma Mia movies, wasn't he? Which
He was. He's played
Frank-
great villains. He was he's been a great villain in The Foreigner. He was in the what was it, the final score or whatever it was. The Dave Bautista movie. He's great. I
Oh,
like
right,
it.
okay, I haven't seen
I
that.
like that he's back doing things
Yeah.
because he disappeared for a while, or at least he went quiet off my radar, and then Mamma Mia seemed to bring him back.
Well, I guess he's at that sort of age, isn't he? That sort of like
Mm,
he's no longer the leading man, but he's got enough gravitas that you want him to have
sure.
a meaty enough role, don't you? So
Mm. I think he's a
uh,
great actor.
he is a great actor. I mean, I was never overly keen on his Bond, but having
No,
said
but
that,
as an actor, I think he's great.
yeah, I used to love Remington Steele. So,
Yes.
so anyway, so the song, the ABBA starts playing, and all of a sudden the kids dancing, and a small Sigrid, who's a girl that apparently doesn't speak, she starts dancing as well. And from
Okay.
that moment on, little Lars is completely obsessed with winning the Eurovision, and he says, "I will win this contest one day." And of
Right.
course, they all laugh at him and all that sort of stuff. And then you go to sort of like now,
Mm.
and there's the Fire Saga is his band with Sigrid, and they they perform at the sort of local pub, and basically they only perform one song. That's all the people there will let them perform. And it's basically sort of, they're completely obsessed, and none of the towns sort of think they're like ever take them seriously.
Sure.
His dad says he's completely wasting his life, and you know says he will never amount to anything unless he sort of stops thinking about Eurovision.
Go work in the factory. Get
Well,
a job.
it's working in the fishing.
Oh,
It's
fishing.
yeah.
Okay. Yeah, yeah.
So it's a little fishing village in I want to say Iceland. No,
Hmm.
Finland. Finland.
Finland. Okay.
Yeah. And through a series of events, they end up becoming the band for
To play.
Eurovision that
Hmm.
year, and they're sent to weirdly, um, which is quite funny because there's an in joke. There's a joke about Dan Stevens is playing the Russian entry
Okay.
in this amazing like scene chewing performance where he's sort of like he's he sort of introduce at one point he's introducing Rachel McAdams to all the different countries, and he introduces them to Britain and says, "Oh yeah, this is Britain's entry. She's really really good, but no one likes Britain, so Neil points and walks off." But the weirdest thing is you get that joke, but the Eurovision
Yeah.
Song Contest this year apparently is in Edinburgh.
Oh, really?
Yeah, which would have meant that Britain won last year,
Yeah. Yeah.
which they don't really sort of talk about. So it's like, okay, fine. So basically, you've got Dan Stevens doing this Russian, and you've got all these others, and it's got a real who's who of like past sort of entrants and winners of your like Conchita Wurst turns up, and the thing about it is it's done with genuine love.
It
It's
sounds like it, and
yeah,
it
and
sounds like getting a lot of the original contestants back.
yeah.
It sounds like a real love letter
It
to
really is.
Eurovision.
I honestly didn't know how the humor was going to work. Whether it was going to be, too taking the piss and a
Yeah.
bit, too much. But it's not. It's there's a little, obviously there's a bit of joking at its expense, and sometimes how silly it can be. But
But
it is a genuine love letter.
and isn't the Eurovision Song Contest inherently silly anyway? I mean, we all know
I
that.
think so. I think it has been for a long time. I think.
And I think they know that. I mean, even the commentary on Eurovision is like hilarious.
Well, I think Britain's commentary has always been legendary.
Yeah.
From Terry Wogan up into now with Graham Norton.
Yeah.
And
Is it Graham Norton now? Oh, what a tremendous substitute that
oh,
is.
he's so good.
I bet he is.
He is
That's a
brilliant.
perfect substitute for Wogan. I was just thinking, like, I don't know who took over after Wogan, but that's great.
Yeah, I think they chose really well
Yeah.
when Wogan retired, but obviously Graham Norton's in it as well. He's doing the commentating and stuff, which
Great.
sometimes is really weird because sometimes he's talking over the tracks when they're playing, which is a bit odd, but obviously it's for the benefit of the movie.
Yeah.
And like I said, some of the actual songs are really quite good. They're genuinely sort of like interesting, like little things. One thing I will say is Lars Will Ferrell's character is bloody unlikable.
Okay.
For me, it it almost sort of like tilts into I really don't want to watch this anymore because of him, because he is a real asshole.
Right.
And it's really hard to like him, I think. However, Rachel McAdams is brilliant, and I mean, I like Rachel McAdams.
Because she usually is pretty good. So
yeah, she's like really lovely and brilliant and really fun. And Dan Stevens is you know, whenever he's on is fantastic. He's playing this sort of like he's quite clearly gay, but obviously because of Russian, you know, policies.
Sure.
It's like there is a moment where he's asked about, you know, about finding love, and he said, "Mother Russia doesn't want me to find love," sort of thing.
Right.
And there's one bit where he says, you know, there are no gays in Russia, and you're like, oh, okay. So there's, I mean, it's not, you know, it's not exactly biting, but it's like it's
topical,
you mention
and
it,
it's,
you know. But overall, I thought I really enjoyed it. I must have, you know, there were times when sometimes it's a bit excruciating with Lars, and there's this sort of like really sort of like weird subplot that sort of goes along with like the elves and Rachel McAdams' character who's like gives food and things to the elves so that they can help them with their career and things. And you've got
right.
There's a sort of another sort of like plot thing that did you ever watch Father Ted?
Oh yeah, I love Father Ted.
Do you remember the My Beautiful Horse episode?
Yes.
This felt at times very like the My Beautiful Horse episode.
Well, that's not a bad thing.
Exactly, which actually works really well.
I'm up for that. This sounds fun. I actually sent a link to this film to my girlfriend, knowing how much of a fan she is of Eurovision. And the one reason that we didn't end up watching it is that she thought, oh, well, they're just going to be taking the piss out of Eurovision. Not sure I want to see that. No, so hearing this is good. I think you may give this a go.
Yeah, they honestly don't. I mean, it's not a perfect movie or anything, and sometimes some of the jokes do fall a bit flat. I mean, the accents are outrageous. They go all over the place. But I'm guessing, you know, that's kind of part of it anyway. But I actually genuinely enjoyed it. I thought it was a really fun like movie, and you know, other than Will Ferrell's character being a bit of too much of a dick at times.
Yeah.
You know, I was still kind of rooting for him, even though, you know, I think mainly because of Rachel McAdams, you know, because of their like partnership. But it was really good, and some of the jokes were genuinely funny, and it was yeah, and it is a genuine, I think, you know, love letter to Eurovision. So yeah.
Oh, that's great. I'm quite glad about that. I think we'll probably end up checking that one out ourselves. So shall I talk about Line of Duty?
Yes. I nearly watched that, but didn't.
Well, just as well. Well, I say that I don't know. I really don't. I really don't know where I stand on this one. So, Line of Duty from 2019, trending on Netflix. It was last week or the week before. Yes. Anyway,
still like in the charts at the moment.
Yeah, I think it's quite high up there, and it's directed by Stephen C. Miller, starring Aaron Eckhart and Courtney Eaton. So this follows the story of Frank Penny, a disgraced cop who is looking for a shot at redemption. And when the police chief's 11-year-old daughter is kidnapped, Frank goes rogue to try and save her. I saw the trailer for this and I thought, oh, this looks like quite a gritty, interesting cop movie. So I thought, you know, I'll give it a go. I was in the mood for an action movie. And I started watching it, and to be honest, the opening to this is it's really well shot. It's really gritty and really tense. It starts with a really gritty, intense chase through the city, where Frank is trying. Frank's hearing on the radio. He's talking to this kid. I think he's in the trailer. He's talking to this kid, and then he gets the call that this policeman's been shot, and you know is down, and the criminal's on the run near him. Frank gets told not to interfere. but he does anyway because he's hearing that cops are getting shot. So he runs on foot, and there's this real tense chase where he's chasing this guy down on foot, and then a massively tense and really well directed scene in an alleyway where Frank finally corners this guy. And the guy is going to go for a gun, and Frank is like begging him not to grab the gun because he's obviously armed and he's ready to take him down. Doesn't want to shoot him, and ends up shooting and killing him. Kind of has to. He has no choice really. The guy is literally pulling for a gun. This was all great, and I was like, wow, this is like going to be a really interesting, I guess run of the mill but well directed cop movie.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, this is where it all goes very wrong. During the chase, there is a couple of fuckwits who run a video news blog on the internet.
Right.
And one of them, Ava, I think it's Ava. I think her name was Ava. She goes out running down the street because they know where this chase is taking place, and she ends up getting footage of Frank after he's taken down this guy, and then she somehow bugs the vehicle that the police are in when Frank gets called in and finds out the entire plot. So she knows that this kid's been kidnapped. It's all been kept from the press and it was kept quiet. This guy was their only lead because it's this guy's brother, I think, who's abducted the 11-year-old. So they needed him alive, which is why they were saying, don't go after him. Leave this guy. We'll take him down non-lethally. So fine, right? I'm fine. These two, I will say, I forget who plays the other blogger, because one of the bloggers stays in their like sort of office headquarters, whatever, watching the blog as it goes. The other one is out on the street. They are both irritating as all like the worst. It feels really like a ham-fisted attempt at trying to make a statement and fails miserably because it kind of doesn't really it's like it's almost like you're
like trying to make a statement on the current news sort of thing.
Yeah, I think it was.
Okay.
and it's, well, obviously not the current I guess,
No.
from a few years back.
Yeah.
I don't even know if they would have released this if they'd known now. It's like, it's like your dad's view of what a video blogger would be like and how they would run things. It's kind of that level of ignorance.
Because I would.
Yeah, totally. Right. Well, and I'm sure these people do exist, but anyway, that's not the real thing. I mean, they're annoying. Fine, they're annoying. I can live with that, and I think they're probably intended to be a bit annoying anyway. Yeah. The real problem becomes Frank gets fired, or at least he's put on suspension. He hands in his badge and he leaves. But then he's not going to let it go because he once killed a kid. So he's like, I'm going to make sure that this kid doesn't die. I'm going to save this kid, even though I'm not a cop anymore. And he leaves, and he runs into Ava, who is filming live streaming, filming Frank. And they team up, and she gets to film him the whole time. He's doing his non-police work, trying to track down this guy. She's live streaming it to the internet, and then news companies pick it up, and she's live streaming it on the news while he runs around breaking the law constantly to try and save.
That sounds great.
The reason they team up, and the reason that he's suspended, still a police officer. The reason this police officer allows her to film this entire thing live while he's trying to catch the villains who could very well be watching the TV themselves.
Yeah.
The only reason he lets her do this is because he needs a car and she has a car. That's
You've got to be kidding.
Nope, that's what happens. Now, granted, they don't know until about the midway point that everything's like hit the news.
Right.
But given that they were live streaming what was going on in the city, I think it was pretty fair to say it was going to be on the news pretty quickly.
Yeah.
So
especially if he's like a walking disaster area. That's
he really is,
isn't it?
He really is. So basically, much of the movie revolves around Frank trying to resolve this murder and trying to get clues, whilst Ava is an annoying shit and comments really dumbass comments the whole time. I mean, that's kind of the setup, right?
Yeah.
And to be honest, I don't mind that. I'm fine with that because I really like buddy cop movies, and I'm like, I would
Yeah.
normally be fine with this. The problem I have with this film is just that it takes itself so seriously in places. Like,
Oh,
it's trying to be really gritty, and it does a pretty good job in some scenes of directing scenes really gritty and really sort of serious. But then it's got this ludicrous plot, and I can't marry the two together. Like, I can't marry this like serious gritty cop revenge story with this nonsense of like, oh yeah, you're a blogger, come with me. um and then about halfway through it kind of just becomes a stupid movie. But it's really weird that they spend so much time being really deadly serious, and then all of a sudden they're like, okay, we're just being stupid now.
right.
So the tone's quite jarring, I found.
So
And I
is it
just,
is it like so she's is it sort of like shaky cam stuff then, or is
no,
it?
no, it's filmed like a normal film, just with her holding the camera.
Oh right, okay.
Occasionally it shows that perspective. Um, but no, it's filmed. It's filmed traditionally, although it is quite a, a shaky, loose camera anyway, which is kind of again, it kind of feeds into that. It's trying to look very serious and take itself very seriously.
Right.
It feels very gritty on the one hand, and on the other hand, the plot is ludicrous. Um, And then there's such weird moments. Like at one point, the guy who gets murdered, I believe it's his brother. His brother shows up. There's a showdown where the police have catch up with Frank, and they're about to arrest him. And he's saying, "Look, I've got clues." He's like, "Take me in, fine, but I literally have clues as to where she is. So let me speak to the police chief first to tell him what I know, and then you can arrest me." And during
Right.
this showdown, all of a sudden, the guy from the start who was murdered, his brother shows up in an SUV, right?
Right.
And for for villain reasons, I guess, um, instead of just running Frank down in an SUV, he decides from the other end of the street to play the air horn in the SUV, which plays La Cucaracha, right? I mean,
Right.
fine. It's just a villainy thing to do.
Yeah.
So I'm cool with that. I'm like, all right, whatever, just nonsense, fine. But then, I kid you not, I am not making this up. That SUV gets totaled
Right.
and he gets away. Skip towards pretty much the end of the movie. Frank's in a building with Ava, and they've got some clues or something. I can't quite remember what happens. They're in a building. They've got some clues, and then they hear sirens, and they're like, "Is that the police? Maybe it's the bomb? Oh, it's a bomb." And they're like, "Oh, maybe it's the bomb squad coming. It's the police." And Frank's listening for the siren, and the siren gets louder and louder, and then suddenly the cucaracha plays, and an ambulance drives straight into the building. So at some point, the villain stole an ambulance and decided to install an air horn, which also plays cucaracha, so that he could drive it and play La Cucaracha as he drove into the building. I just don't know what to say. Um,
So
it,
is Ben McKenzie the bad guy then?
yes,
Right.
no, it's Ben McKenzie. Yes, he is.
The guy
Uh,
he played Commissioner Gordon in Gotham.
yes, he is. Yes, he's one of the bad guys anyway. But it's, oh man, this movie is such a mess. On the one hand, some of the scenes are really well directed and really well shot. I mean, the chase scene is the start is thrilling, and there's that real tense scene in the alleyway. There's some real tense scenes as the movie ramps up towards the end, where they're trying to find this girl. It's got a nice, really corny but kind of nice sentiment at the end of the movie. But yeah, the tone is bizarre. And
Okay.
if it hadn't taken itself seriously, if it had been like I don't know, like a San Andreas, rock
Over
movie
the
or
top
something,
rock movie.
skyscraper or something, I'd be
Yeah.
like, cool, whatever. You just kind of take your brain out and go with it. But this film kind of set itself up to be so serious. And that's what really threw me. I think maybe if I watched it again, I'd probably have a lot of fun and not mind. But it took me so off guard. The tone of the first part of the movie, the tone of the trailer, and the tone of certain scenes throughout the movie just really don't gel with this nonsensical plot for me.
Yeah. I'm just looking at the director's other stuff, and I don't think I've seen any of them.
I don't think I've seen anything else he's done. I think his
No.
direction's actually really good in places. I mean, certainly some of the scenes, he's got a real eye for tension.
Oh, he did Escape Plan 2, which I haven't seen, but
That's awful. Really bad. I mean, if you thought I quite like the first Escape Plan for what it is. The second one is terrible.
I must admit, I could never bring myself to watch it. I thought it looked so bad in the first place, and as for the second one, I thought, yeah, no.
It is bad, but it was at least entertaining and funny.
So, I mean, would you Would you say to watch it? I
don't know. I kind of think like Watch It is just this weird movie. Like it's just a bizarre thing, and half of it's good. I mean, I always think, and I know he's made some, or his agent has made some poor choices. I mean, Frankenstein and Battleship he was in as well. But Aaron Eckhart is one hell of an actor.
Frankenstein could have been one that, if that movie would have been good,
I think that might have
brought him out a little bit more.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
I think like what you were going to say then was Aaron Eckhart is a really good actor, and he's been in some great stuff. But he's one of those actors that I don't think has ever really
hit his stride
out. Yeah,
no. and he deserves to. I think Aaron Eckhart's a tremendous actor, and I think especially when you look at films like Dark Knight.
Harvey Dent was fantastic.
His Harvey Dent was fantastic, and also more importantly, I think that his Two-Face, which is a ludicrous character, to try and do on screen. I mean, it's ridiculous. I think it's a miracle that he pulled it off.
The one that we got with the
Tommy Lee Jones.
Tommy Lee Jones one.
But
which is fine. That works in that movie.
It works in that movie. But when you're trying, well, I mean. My issues of them trying to make realistic Batman aside, because I do have issues with them trying to do that in the first place, I think it's a silly idea. But the fact that he managed to ground such a ridiculous character purely through his ability to act, I think shows Aaron Eckhart is a superb actor. And he's tremendous in this. I mean, when you can see he's visibly upset. You can see his grief over what he's done in the past and his want to save this girl. He's like, I won't let another kid die. I'm gonna save this. He's a tremendous actor, but then he's offset by this weird tone and this just bizarre whiplash of a film. One minute it's super serious, and then the next minute it's just ridiculous, and I can't get a beat on it. I feel like if I watched it again, I might enjoy it more, just because I'd be like, okay, I know it's stupid, fine.
Does it feel like it was sort of interfered with or something? Does it feel like a studio?
No, it's coherent. I think it's intentional. It's just kind of weird. It's almost like it feels like what was that Schwarzenegger movie? The film that Schwarzenegger did just as he got back into acting.
The one where he was a small town sheriff.
Yes, that one. Have you watched that?
I can't remember what it was called.
Have you seen that film?
I have, yes.
Right. It feels like that, where it's like you have two films here, and then someone's just put them together. There's like the blogging bit feels like it should be in a totally different movie from the serious cop bit. It's weird. I guess watch it just as an experiment. I don't know. It's got quite good. It's got a higher rating than I was expecting when I looked it up for this podcast.
Yeah.
I thought people would have hated it, but it's got like 60%, which is higher than I thought it would get. So
maybe it's because we're all so starved of movies right now.
Sure,
we're willing to give things a little more leeway. Maybe I don't know. That movie was Last Stand.
Last Stand. That was it. That was an awful film.
That was. Do you know what though? There were some parts of that near the end where they were in the proper siege bit that were really good. They were really well done. But
again, the problem with Last Stand is that there's the bumbling town sheriff bit.
Yeah.
And then the very serious chase bits, it's like, and we're not very serious. They're ridiculous, aren't they? Now that I think about it, because it's the other way around, isn't it? Because the cop bits are quite gritty, and it's kind of like him in town just doing his job.
Yeah.
This small town sheriff trying to solve a murder or something, and then next to that is like this weird chase movie with this guy who has a special car or something, and he's.
Oh God, yeah.
Isn't Forrest Whitaker in that movie as well? Weirdly.
Oh.
Isn't he like the cop or something? The like FBI guy? I could be wrong. It's been a long time since I've watched that movie. But I'm pretty sure that was like 2 films. It suddenly just became one movie, and they
It
just.
certainly felt like it was a. It was a. I mean, the tone definitely. Yeah, you're right. Forrest Whitaker was the
He
ancient.
isn't he? Because I remember watching it and just being like, "What the fuck is Forrest
I,
Whitaker doing
I
in
think
this?"
the thing that sticks mostly in my brain was the Johnny Knoxville character.
Mm,
That's like, oh Christ, do we
that's
have
never
to
a good
look at this
sign.
guy anymore? Yeah, I mean that was definitely.
I actually put on Walking Tall, the rock version, because I know there's multiple versions of Walking Tall,
Yeah.
the other day, and I started watching it, and then Johnny Knoxville turned up, and I was like, oh no, we're in for some shit. this is this is not going to be good.
I think, I think one of the only things I've ever liked Johnny Knoxville in was his very
Jackass.
well Jackass, and I think the is it the second Men in Black? I
Oh
quite like.
yeah,
I
yeah,
quite like
he's
the
one of the few
two-headed
good things about that movie. Yeah,
monster. Yeah, the two-headed creature he was. That was quite funny. But yeah, he's not. Yeah, you don't cheer when he turns up in a movie.
I.
Let's put it that way.
It's usually a sign of a film probably going downhill.
Yeah. And
So what else have you? Oh, sorry, go on.
I was going to say I think that was a very small blip though on Arnie's comeback, because
Oh,
the
he's done
rest of the
tremendously well.
movies that he did after that I think mostly were quite good,
I
like
have a horrible
Maggie
feeling.
and
I loved Maggie.
and stuff like that.
I have a horrible feeling that he just took the first job that came along when he came back.
Yeah.
He was just like, okay, I need to work.
I think I think
Because he's made much better choices since.
yeah.
Much better. That's probably the worst movie he's made, actually.
What was that one, with the plane? That was a good one.
Oh, Aftermath or something like that, wasn't it? I enjoyed that a lot, actually.
Yeah,
I thought it's good. It's nice. It shows that he can act, You sometimes forget that. Like Stallone, can act. He's done acting roles. But Schwarzenegger, you're like, yeah, he can't act. And then every now and again, he surprises you. You're like, no, he can. Yeah.
I think that's another thing with Stallone. It's like I think people are always genuinely surprised when he acts really well. I think because
I guess people that aren't Stallone fans are always genuinely shocked.
My wife hates Sylvester Stallone. She can't take him seriously. But I keep saying, look, just watch Rocky. It's really good. She just refuses to watch Rocky.
Watch Copland.
She has seen Copland though.
Copland, he's amazing in Copland.
He's absolutely fantastic in Copland.
I mean, the thing is with Stallone is that he can act incredibly well. He just knows that that's not what makes him money.
Yeah.
So he just doesn't, because he's like, well, I'll just make money instead. It's like, do you want to be a fantastic actor who never gets work, or do you want to be a silly actor who makes lots of money?
That's it, isn't it?
Can't blame him for that. So what else have you been watching?
So I watched Dreamland.
Oh, okay.
So
Scenario 51 based movie.
What's that? Sorry.
Is this going to be an alien movie?
No aliens.
Okay.
Vampires though. Well, one vampire. So this is directed by Bruce McDonald, who'd previously done Pontypool.
I love Pontypool. That's a great movie.
And it also stars Stephen McHattie, who was the main star of Pontypool.
Yeah, he's
so it's
the
obviously
host,
like a reunion. It's also got Henry Rollins in it and Juliette Lewis. And basically, it's set in where is it? It's not Switzerland. Oh, it'll come to me. Anyway, it's small European country type thing.
Okay.
And Stephen McHattie plays two characters. So he's playing a washed-up jazz musician and a sort of a hitman who's working for Henry Rollins's sort of mob boss type thing.
Right.
So after the assassin kills like some rival gangsters, he goes back to Henry Rollins' character to say that he's done the job, and basically Henry Rollins tells him that now that they've got rid of their competition, they're going to start selling child prostitutes and stuff.
Right.
Which he's not okay with.
No, you would hope not.
Exactly, and he
not if you want this person to be a protagonist.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Well, he discovers that his Henry Rollins' character has taken his like next door neighbor, which is the only person he's ever really talked to apparently.
Okay.
So it's this girl who Henry Rollins' character is going to sell to Juliette Lewis is the Countess, who is this massively over the top sort of person who lives in the castle in this place. And he's selling.
I'm just happy to hear that Juliette Lewis is in a movie.
Absolutely.
That alone piques my interest.
Yeah, Juliette is awesome. She's not got the biggest of parts in it, but she's when she's on screen, she's Juliette Lewis. So he's selling this woman, this girl, to Juliette Lewis's character for her brother as a child bride because her brother is also a vampire.
Okay.
Right. So it's kind of then sort of. Henry Rollins then sends this hitman to go and take the finger of this jazz musician because he disrespected him.
Okay.
And from there, he decides that he's gonna sort of try and rescue these girls, and everything all unfolds from there. So obviously you've got Henry Rollins being a unusual Henry Rollins over the top performance.
I really dig Henry Rollins in movies. Like I really dig his characters every time. I know he's not got much range, but he's just superb.
Have you seen He Never Died?
I love that movie.
That is such a brilliant movie.
It's great, and I think honestly,
so good in it.
It's great, and honestly, I think it would be nowhere near as good if it wasn't Henry Rollins doing it. Like his performance in that movie is superb.
Yeah.
I actually, funny enough, because I resubscribed to Netflix a couple of weeks back, I came across that again and I almost watched it the other day. I was like, oh, I love that movie. I might watch that again soon.
I didn't know until recently there's a sequel.
Oh, I didn't know that. Has it also got Henry Rollins in it?
No, I don't think so. It's about a female version.
Oh, okay.
It's like I'm presume she's a different, but I haven't heard enough about it to know, or found it to know whether it's any good. But
interesting.
Anyway, so this it's definitely not for everyone. It goes on these very sort of with the sort of the jazz musician and stuff. It goes into some very sort of existential stuff, and it's the only way I can describe the sort of setting, and because there are sort of like really weird things, like at one point he's sort of running the assassin character is running away sort of thing with this girl, and there are these sort of like, for some random reason there's like a bunch of like child gangsters that are following them. So you've got these sort of like, there's like characters from Bugsy Malone following him.
Right.
It's very odd, but like it's quite brutal at times. It's like, there's a lot of really sort of, but there's some really great little sort of odd characters that sort of keep turning up, like the pawn shop, the couple that own the pawn shop and things like that. They're really brilliantly sort of like done, and it's a very odd movie, but the only way I can sort of describe it is it's like somebody's really odd game of Vampire the Masquerade. It feels like this sort of like, there are in this city, there are, like there's the Countess who lives up in this castle and the police don't go up there.
Sure.
And the wedding guests of this wedding party are they're all like dictators and gangsters and sort of like really weird over the top sort of people.
This sounds really interesting to me. I like this kind of stuff.
It's really good. I really enjoyed it. It's don't get me wrong, it's fucking weird.
Sure.
And I'm not going to say anything about the end or anything like that, but it goes off into its own sort of thing where you're not sure about certain things. But I loved it so much. I like weird movies anyway.
Yes.
And it was so good. The vampire is this sort of like grinning sort of Nosferatu type guy who's sort of like, wandering around waiting for his child bride sort of waiting for Henry Rollins to sort of, where's my child bride? Sort of, what have you done with her? Why is she not here yet? And it's like,
it sounds quite interesting.
There's a sort of, there's a dark streak of humor through it, and there's a sort of an interesting relationship that the hitman has with this like aging sort of. I'm guessing she's a prostitute.
Mm-hmm.
It's not specific about it, but she works in Henry Rollins' club. So I presume she's, she's an older sort of woman who, is sort of really tired and stuff, and you see that she's sort of like, just hanging on there. But it's the relationship between those is really good, and I really really liked it. Like I said, it's a fucking weird movie, and it's definitely not for everybody. But if you want to see something genuinely sort of odd and well made, I would definitely recommend it. I really like.
I will. I'll give it a go. I mean, I loved Pontypool as well, so yeah, that sounds interesting. So,
Yeah.
have you seen anything else? Any other movies?
I have. I saw the half of it.
Okay, what's that?
So it's a Netflix exclusive.
Mm-hmm.
Came out a couple of months back, I think. So it's a romantic comedy sort of teen thing. It stars Leah Lewis, Daniel Damer, and Alexis Lemaire, and it takes place in a small town in Canada.
Right.
And the main character is this Ellie Chu, who is a Chinese girl in like the only Chinese girl in this town, and her dad is works for the train station. He's like the station master, but her mum died, and her dad's never got over it, and he sort of spends all his time watching classic movies and supposedly to learn English, but
Okay.
I think it's more that he wallows in the love stories and things.
Sure.
And she's kind of taking up. She seems to do all the work in the station, and at school, she charges $10 a page. I think it's $10 a page or something.
Right.
So she does everybody's homework, and she's a complete. No one really talks to her. No one sort of like has really anything to do with her other than the fact that she writes all their stuff and they all pay her.
She's got a very good talent for different styles of handwriting.
You would guess.
One presumes.
Well, there's actually quite a funny bit where her teacher talks to her and says, she wants her to go to college, and she says to her, you've done 6 essays today, sort of thing.
Right, so she knows. Yeah.
And she says to her, well, if you know I'm doing it, why don't you like dob me in? And she's like, because like, why would I want to read everybody else's crappy
sure. Yeah. You're like the one person
really
with talent. Yeah. Okay.
So there's this other this character called Paul turns up, and he is in love with this character called Asta, who is the daughter of the town preacher.
Okay.
And she's interesting because she's although she's incredibly beautiful, doesn't seem to be quite in with the big crowds, even though she is, and she's got this like the jock boyfriend and stuff. She seems slightly, away from them. She's not nasty like the other girls are, and she's not.
Okay.
And this character Paul, who's this again, he's a jock, but he seems to be a sort of like slightly separate from the bigger, the real assholes.
Mm-hmm.
He is in love with this Asta character, and he goes to Lily to write him a letter to her. So she's like, no way, I'm not doing that. I do people's homework. I'm not writing a letter for you, for this girl.
Yeah.
And he basically, because they're, her dad's sort of not paying the bills and stuff, and they need to pay the electricity. He says, I'll pay you $50 to do it. And she's like, I need the money, so I'll do it.
Sure, yeah.
And slowly she starts writing this letter to him and to this Astrid character. And over the course of the movie, she begins to realize that she loves this Astrid character. So it's a real sort of Cyrano de Bergerac sort of story. So you've got this sort of this jock character who wants this girl, and there's the Ellie character who's doing all the writing and all this sort of like exchanges with this girl to try and they slowly become friends as well, and he sort of starts standing up for her, and Ellie is like this brilliant musician, and she writes these like really great sort of songs, and uh, you know the usual sort of kind of love story stuff. You get the will they won't they stuff and all all that stuff, but it's genuinely sweet and really really lovely, and the main three cast are really great. I've not seen any of them in anything before.
All right, that's good.
And it's written and directed by Alice Wu, who apparently hasn't done a movie for like 16 years or something.
Oh wow!
But I really liked it. It's a really sweet sort of coming of age movie with really great written characters and really sort of you're not really seeing anything completely new or original. Like I said, it's
just something well done.
Yeah, it's basically Cyrano de Bergerac but with teens.
Yeah. Oh well, that sounds interesting.
Fun. I really enjoyed it. It's got really good, well written characters, like I said, and it's got a surprisingly sort of moving, core to it that I really enjoyed. So yeah, there you go.
Good stuff. Have you seen anything else?
I am watching Warrior Nun.
How is that?
Right, so
because I almost gave that a go. I actually watched something else which you have watched, so we can talk about it in a moment.
Okay, so this is it's based on a comic book, and I think massively loosely based on a comic book. From what I think I read maybe an issue of this comic like years ago, and I don't remember it being like this, but so. It's the main character is this Ava who at the very beginning is dead.
Right.
She has died, and there is this order of the Cruciform Sword, which is an ancient order of warrior nuns.
Mm-hmm.
And the main one of the warrior nuns has a angel's halo in her back.
Okay.
And it basically gives her sort of like healing and powers and all that sort of stuff. And at the very beginning, the current bearer is dying.
Oh, so they can pass this on?
Yes.
Okay.
So they take but whenever the current owner dies, they take the halo out and they put it into the next, recipient.
Chosen. Yeah.
Now, due to this attack, while they're taking the halo out, the halo gets put into the body of this dead girl, and it resurrects her.
Okay. And
basically, through the sort of the course of the story, you realize.
Do they put it in the dead body to hide it, or?
Yes, I think that was the intention. I think it was to sort of like get it away and sort of to hide it. But obviously, it doesn't quite work out that way. It's very young adult sort of stuff. Some of the fight scenes aren't great, but having said that, I think the main character, who's played by Alba Baptista, is really charming, and I think she holds your sort of attention, and it's not great, but I'm really enjoying it. I think I've got 3 episodes left now.
Oh, great.
It's a fun sort of little sort of fantasy sci-fi thing. It's got some of the sisters are they're all a bit like there's a bookish one, and there's the horrible
the stereotypes.
Yeah, they're all real sort of stereotypes, but they're all quite they're all done tolerably enough that it's
Hmm.
not a problem. You've got the sister Mary, who's this like shotgun wielding sort of badass, and you've got the sister Lilith, who is like the should be the next recipient of the Halo, but obviously hasn't got it. And there's this of it. She's sort of not exactly set up as a bad guy, but where it's going. Don't you know?
Sure.
It's obvious where it's going, but it's really entertaining.
Yeah, sounds good.
It's if you want a sort of a relatively great, a relatively good, enjoyable sort of fun thing. I think you could do better. You could do worse than this.
All right. Okay. Well, I will probably give that a go. I almost watched that actually because I saw that in the list and I was like, sounds interesting. But yeah, didn't get around to it. So I may give that a watch.
Yeah, I think it's worth it mainly for the main character. I think she's really quite good.
Yeah. Huh. Something which I think you have watched because I think you were suggesting it to me last time we did this show. Okay. Was Space Force, which I decided to put on Netflix and ended up watching all of it. This has some real negative press online, a lot of negativity. I really enjoyed it.
I did too.
I think it's really good fun. I think if you go into this expecting The Office, you're going to be disappointed. If you go in knowing and accepting, because as soon as I started watching this, I was like, it's a Mel Brooks comedy. It's a Mel Brooks comedy, and it's perfect at that. I like Mel Brooks style comedy, and this is a real good example of it. Obviously, centers around this Space Force, which has been set up by the United States, and it stars Steve Carell as the general. I forget his name. Mike, isn't it? Mike something. Nerd.
Mark Arnerd.
Arnerd, that's it. Yeah. And also John Malkovich as Adrian Mallory. Their relationship for me is what makes this show. I love them.
I think if it didn't have that, I think it would not work at all.
And honestly, if Mallory was played by anyone but Malkovich, like Malkovich is superb in this show.
I could not imagine anybody else playing him after seeing it.
He's so good.
He is absolutely stunning, and I love just the when you keep finding things out about him, like the fact that, who he likes, and
I felt really bad for him in that scene. That was,
isn't it?
It was so sweet, and I just felt really bad for him, and I was like, oh.
I think one of the great things about this that for me is I'm not big on cringy humor.
This does it well, and it's not.
I think this stops it going too far.
Yes.
I think a lot of the time for me, things like The Office and stuff take it so far that I'm like, I can't deal with this anymore. I've got to turn over.
Sure. I like that stuff, but I agree. they definitely dial it back here. I think some of the comedy is a bit. It's probably not going to age well because it's very of the moment.
Oh, it's definitely very Trumpian.
But it's good. It's a good commentary on it, and it's got some really funny moments. Like I loved when they were. There's a scene where one of their satellites gets sabotaged, and they happen to have monkeys in space.
Oh, that episode. I think that's probably that one superb. And the War Games episode.
So I was just going to say the War Games episode when they got the legs that will walk you back to base once you've been shot. I genuinely, I thought it was really funny. I think it's not perfect. Some of the humor is a bit hit and miss, but overall, it's a real easy watch. It's really fun. I think the General and the Doctor make this show, but also want to say, fuck Tony. The social media director is hilarious.
You so want to punch him.
Yeah.
But he has these brilliant moments where you're like, okay, he is actually doing his job.
I thought, honestly, I don't know what the hate for this show is all about. I had a really good time watching this.
Yeah.
It's really easy to watch.
I really love the relationship with the daughter as well. I thought that was really well done.
Oh, and the Russian, oh my God, and the Russian mole that they're like, Oh, it's so funny.
Everybody knows he's a Russian mole. It's brilliant. It's
Yep.
so funny. Yeah, I genuinely thought it was a really fun show. It's
It
great.
was. It's really fun, and I hope that despite the negative press, they have a season two because I really feel like if they address some of the shortcomings in this one,
Yeah,
season two could be something absolutely
I
incredible.
must admit I was not keen on the way it ended.
No,
I
but I
didn't
think
like the end.
overall,
It
I
felt a
thought,
little sort of like they didn't quite know what to do at the end.
yeah, I
And
agree with that.
it's like, oh, okay, she's here and that person's here, and okay, this is a bit weird.
That said,
And
I
then it
did
sort of
like
just
there was a
ended. It's
story.
like, oh, okay.
Yeah, I agree with that. I did like that it had a story arc, though. I was quite pleased with that. I thought it was just going to be a one-off. Each episode would be its own thing, and I liked that there was a story arc continuing.
Yeah,
Yeah, really enjoyed it for the most part. I thought it was good fun.
it was. It was. Yeah, I really enjoyed it.
So, I guess on to some news.
Yeah,
We have the Halloween Kills trailer
I
drop.
have seen it.
The
I
movie
did.
delayed.
What movie is it? You watch the trailer, then it says, like what year when it's coming out, and you're like, that's bloody a year away.
Yeah, apparently they were worried that they wouldn't get the full, the full seating and all that stuff, so they've pushed it back. And I guess it's a Halloween movie. They're going to release it on Halloween. So if it wasn't going to be this Halloween,
Yeah.
they're going to release it next Halloween. So fair enough.
I think I would have preferred if they didn't do a sequel.
Well, they're doing two. So
I know they are, but
I watched the trailer and I thought looks fine.
Yeah.
I wish they weren't doing it because I think the last one
Yeah.
ended quite fine and I'd be happy with that. Yeah, it's going to be weird. I'm going to watch it though. I think the trailer looks fine.
I think the thing is that the last one had enough that I would still watch it.
Yeah.
I wasn't the biggest fan of that movie.
No, I really enjoyed it for the most. There were some real stupid moments, but
as we said before, that the scene where they're following him down the street is an absolute belt.
Oh yeah. That's an amazing scene.
Completely stunning scene.
There are some really good scenes. I don't know what they're going to do because they kind of went a long way to distance themselves from the other Halloween movies and just be like, he's just an old guy now. Like, he's a strong old guy, but he's just an old guy. And he gets so messed up by the end of this movie. You almost, by the end of Halloween, you almost feel Halloween. Oh, I hate that they called it Halloween. Halloween, the new Halloween. Not Rob Zombie's Halloween, the new Halloween. I thought you almost feel sorry for Mike Myers by the end of it. He gets fucked up.
Yeah.
And now I'm like, honest, so now he has to
be. They've tried to establish that he's kind of a normal guy, and you do sort of think, well, how the fuck is he going to survive that?
Well, that's the thing. Now they're going to have to backtrack on that and be like, oh no, maybe he isn't a normal guy after all, or something. Or do the fire brigade save him? Is that what we're?
Well, I mean, that seems to be what they're suggesting.
But he loses like his fingers and stuff in Halloween. Like he's really messed up. Like I don't think he's going to be too much of a threat, guys.
No.
Honestly. So I guess we're going back to him being supernatural. But fair enough. Thought it was a strong trailer. Liked it. Another trailer I really enjoyed, which I saw today. The Boys season 2 trailer.
Oh yeah.
Gives nothing away.
Nope.
Aside from what's her name? Is it Starlight? She's still in the team, so I'm guessing she's probably been forced into that somehow, or she's like having to. But what a trailer! The scene where with the face and the wall was like wow. The head pushing into the wall thing. I love it. Carl Urban is so good in this role.
He's so brilliant, isn't he?
So good.
I don't think I've ever seen Carl Urban give a bad performance. He's
never.
So
even
good.
in bad movies, he's great.
Oh yeah, he's been in some terrible movies, but he's terrible movies, he's usually good.
Yeah, and looking forward to The Boys season 2 coming out in September.
Yep, and keeping with season 2's Umbrella Academy as well.
Yes,
season 2 of that.
Yeah, it looks good.
Again, I was a bit sort of like, oh, it's another apocalypse. Okay, fine. But I like the idea that they're now in the 60s and
yes,
they've all gone off and done their own sort of thing in the 60s. I quite like. I like the fact that one of them is now a sort of guru and stuff, and one of them's a cage fighter or whatever. It's like it's quite cool. I like the idea of that. So I'm looking forward to that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. It looks great. And then in news, Tron 3 is apparently happening.
Yeah.
So
and the good thing is because they were talking about doing a reboot with Jared Leto or Leto, whatever the bloody hell you pronounce it.
yes.
And that one I wasn't quite so hopeful for.
Well, he's still apparently going to star.
Well, they're saying that it's no longer a reboot; that it's actually a sequel.
Yes, but I think still starring Jared Leto.
Well, that's slightly disappointing, but
he's hit and miss. When he's good, he's good.
He is a really good actor. It's sometimes
poor choices.
I just can't get past him sometimes.
Sure.
You know, he's one of those personalities, isn't he? He's a bit.
Yes, absolutely.
You know,
but I absolutely love Tron. And excited for a Tron 3. Could be something great.
The second one, I think.
I didn't love the second.
Did you not?
So when I saw it in the cinema, I didn't like it at all. I left and I was like, the soundtrack's good, it looked great, but I hated it. I fucking hated it. And then I watched it again on DVD, and I love it. I don't know why I hated it. I don't know why. I mean, the story, it could have been better story-wise, but what a stunning film. Stunning.
Well, I think, you know, like it was one of those movies that was really respectful to the original.
Yes.
And just kind of got on with it.
Mm-hmm.
Which you know, is again, it's another of those movies where they, you know, a late sequel done really well that was respectful to the original thing. And it's, you know, that is all you can ask for. That's how it should be, you know.
I think the one thing that annoyed me with Tron 2, which I've just got over and I just don't care anymore, I just take it for what it is and enjoy it.
Right.
Is that Flynn's son just kind of goes into on the grid and he just suddenly is a ninja and knows everything and is amazing. And that's kind of not what Tron was, because in the original Tron, obviously, Tron is the hero because he's the program designed to do that stuff. Whereas Flynn isn't really that. He's not good at all these things. He's not amazing.
But I think
I've got past it.
They at least set with the base jump,
the bike and things. I'm like, he's physical, and the bike thing. I'm like, cool.
You know, they kind of set him up as a sort of a daredevil. So
sure,
you can kind of at least see that he could do some of these things. But you're right, he is like, he does go in and like, I'm a ninja. Yeah.
It's like, okay, sure. But it's fine. I like Tron Legacy a lot now. And I'm really excited for Tron 3 if it happens. Cool.
I think as long as you get for fuck's sake, the soundtrack.
Daft Punk. What a job they did. Oh, that is
the soundtrack as well. You know, I'm fine with that because
that has become one of my favorite soundtracks of all time.
It's a great soundtrack, and I
listen to it all the time.
The scene in the nightclub.
Oh my god, the music is perfectly timed to the action in that scene. It's incredible, and Daft Punk are there as well in that scene, which is great.
Yeah, it's a great soundtrack. I'm really hopeful for this one.
Yeah, me too. I'm looking forward.
Like, you know, we're saying that got a lot of shit as well.
It did.
It got a lot of hate, and I don't.
Even I will admit I hated it first, but or do you mean the original Tron? I've always
the second one.
Yeah.
No, because the original one's one of those sort of like it's one of those movies that always seems to be on the edge of just everybody knowing it. You know what I mean? It's like it's never become a full-on everybody loves it movie.
I think it's a movie that everyone knows of, but not many people have watched. I think it's kind of the impression I get.
It's not quite a cult movie, but it's not quite mainstream either. It's kind of that weird limbo thing.
It's criminal. I've actually got a book on the making of Tron, and the things that Tron did for the movie industry is quite incredible in terms of things that we now take for granted. So it's a crying shame that it doesn't get the love it deserves. But very much looking forward to Tron 3.
Yeah.
Apparently, Michael Keaton's coming back. We
did discuss this. Like, started the other week. But
we did. So we discussed it with Flashpoint. But apparently, he's also coming back to play Bruce Wayne in Batman of the Future or Batman Beyond.
Batman Beyond. Now I am completely down for that.
I love that idea.
Brilliant.
If they do Batman Beyond in Tim Burton's Batman Future, I am all for that. I think this could be amazing.
Well, that's it. Apparently, they are looking for Burton to direct it as well, which
Oh, I'd love that.
I mean,
I really,
he's not been great recently. Some of his latest movies haven't been fantastic, but I would still be on board to see him do that.
absolutely. And I think if you're going back to that world that he created, it would be nice for him to do it.
Yeah, and as I said last time, it would make my year if they brought back Michelle Pfeiffer as well. But something I didn't think of, that I was watching somebody on talking about it, and they said, wouldn't it be also cool to actually see Billy D's Two-Face?
Well, like he's still alive in prison or something. That would be
Yeah.
awesome. That would be
I would
awesome.
love to see Billy D's Two-Face as a
Even if it was
proper-
a cameo.
Yeah, just sort of like, a quick.
Or fuck it, make him the villain. Like just make him like break out of prison, or someone helps him out of prison, or like something, and he's involved somehow in like a bigger role.
I think they would do Return of the Joker.
Yeah, they probably.
I think if they were going to do Batman Beyond, I think they'd probably do.
Do you get Nicholson to do the voice of the Joker returned? That would be interesting.
I mean, he's retired, hasn't he? So
it's only voice work there. It's only voice work. That's all we need.
I don't know whether he's capable anymore. I don't know. I've heard mixed things about him at the moment, so I don't know whether he's capable of even doing a voice for it.
Or get the guy who they got to play Jack in the Doctor Sleep movie. Just get him.
Yeah.
He was good. I mean, he didn't look like it, but he was a great performance.
Oh Christ, what's his name? This guy who played Elliot, wasn't it?
It was, yeah.
Oh, I can't remember his name now. But yes.
So yeah, have you got any other news?
I've
only got one piece left.
Keeping with that, actually, we also they're talking about bringing Affleck's Batman back for a TV series.
If they let him make his Arkham movie, I will be very happy. If that's a series, like let him make his Arkham movie as a series.
Stuff is coming out now about the fact that the script was all ready and the script was done, and the guy in charge, I forget who it was now, was completely against his Batman anyway. Didn't want his Batman, wanted a younger Batman.
Shouldn't have bloody been. Affleck's Batman is like the best part of that whole universe they've created. Honestly, I love him.
I mean,
him and Wonder Woman, honestly.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I still Cavill's Superman for me. I still love.
Oh no, I love Cavill's Superman.
But
those two stand out.
It's probably the most, the closest to certainly the computer games version of Batman. And
absolutely, and I can honestly say, obviously we haven't seen Snyder's vision of Justice League, but when you watch Justice League and you watch Batman v Superman, especially with Justice League, like honestly, like one of the few good things about Justice League is that Affleck's Batman and Gal Gadot's Wonder Woman have real chemistry. They really work well. Like I would watch an Affleck Gal Gadot spin-off movie with just those two, because they've got real chemistry on screen and it works really well. Like it's one of the few things from that Justice League mess that I was like, they work really well. So I'm really happy if they let Affleck make this. I'll be really happy. I honestly, HBO Max, that I would never have subscribed to you, but you are slowly convincing me around to this.
I know.
I'm gonna save my week's subscription until the Snyder Cut comes out, and I'll use it there.
That's it. I think that
my month's subscription.
I really want the Snyder Cut to work. I think. I mean, I'm hoping it's going to be good. I mean, obviously you can't guarantee that it's going to be good.
Honestly, good. I just want to see his vision.
Yes.
Because I didn't hate Batman v Superman as much as a lot of people. I like Man of Steel, I think is fine now. Like over time, I've come to appreciate it. And I liked the way he was going in that darker tone. I like that darker tone. So I'm looking forward to seeing it. And I want to see it, even if it's terrible. I'm going to watch it because I want to see.
I think that's it. I think I'd like to think that it's going to be popular. Good enough that people will watch it and talk about it favorably. Because then, I mean, I think that's it, certainly if that does do well, then they definitely will have the Affleck, Batman stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
They also mentioned. They also said. Now I don't know how big a rumor this is, that if the talks with Keaton fall through, that they're on about bringing Dark Knight Returns Batman guy, Bale. They're talking about bringing Bale back. Now that one doesn't fill me with any joy.
No, that's a terrible idea. And do you know what that sounds to me like? I don't think they're even seriously considering that. That sounds like the kind of thing that you've thrown around in a boardroom, like, oh, well, we could just get Bale if not. They're not going to do that. That's just a terrible idea. Plus, I don't think Christian Bale would do it. No, that would be awful because those worlds do not work. No. Keaton's Batman could totally work
they're obviously establishing that they're obviously establishing an Elseworlds thing anyway, aren't they?
Well, they are, but I'm not sure what they're going to do. Whether they're going to do something where they're like, you know,
well, I think
Flashpoint changes things to where Keaton's Batman was the reality,
I also think
and then
they're going to use Keaton as a sort of a Nick Fury character, aren't they? So,
but they can't do that if he is in the other universe, which makes me think they might end up changing the past with Flashpoint to where Keaton's Batman was a reality. He's now grown up, old Keaton Batman, old Bruce Wayne. So when Flash returns to the future or the present, he finds old Bruce Wayne, and then you've got Batman of the future with the Justice League, and that could be really interesting.
Yeah, it's going to be. One thing I will say, I do feel.
Or somehow he ends up in our universe. I don't know. Maybe.
I think that's what they're going to do. I think they're going to do universe hopping with him,
which is fine. I mean, Flash does that, so it's not. Yeah. You know.
One thing I do feel slightly sorry for Pattinson. He's
been overshadowed quite bigly.
Slightly overshadowed now. You know, they're going to be bringing back 2 other Batman. Is a bit sort of, oh, you poor bastard.
Yeah. Well, I guess
I'm really looking forward to his Batman movie.
Oh, I think it looks great, and I love Matt Reeves. I think that's going to be superb. Everything I've seen of that movie fills me with hope. So I'm watching that one for sure, and I'm looking forward to it. But I don't see why, you know, their Marvel universe has failed. It's failed. So if they want to do it with separate stories and separate things, cool. Make it happen. It looks good.
Yeah.
Just do it.
Yeah,
I'm fine with it.
Absolutely. I think
I kind of feel like the Snyder universe is going to become the HBO universe, you know?
Yeah.
It feels like that's the way it's going to go now. But no, I think it'll be fine.
Yeah, I agree. I think that hopefully it'll work out really well, you know.
So the last piece of news I've got happened, you know, last week, but Ennio Morricone dying at 91. This guy, the diversity and breadth. I mean, I know he's 91, right? And he kept working pretty much until he died.
He was actually working on a something.
A short.
You know, when he died. So I don't know whether they know whether he actually finished it,
but this guy's career is too long to even talk about. Like
he's got 500 credits to his name. I mean, that tells you, you know, everything you need to know, doesn't it?
Diverse.
Yeah.
I mean, you go from like A Fistful of Dollars and the Dollars trilogy, you got The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, to things like The Thing, which is completely different, but equally amazing. You know, like, you know, and then obviously the Tarantino stuff, and like The Hateful Eight and
Cinema Paradiso.
Yeah.
You know,
it's endless talent, diverse, endless talent.
And I mean his score for The Thing, you think, I always thought it was Carpenter's.
I thought it was Carpenter's for the longest time, and he obviously was like, okay, this is what you want from this is your style, I will match your style, and he did it flawlessly to where most of my life I assumed that was a Carpenter score.
Yeah, I mean that as soon as that
just thing starts,
you just sort of you can almost feel the cold.
Yeah,
it's like you can feel yourself pulling your collar up. It's like it's so atmospheric. It's brilliant, absolutely fantastic. And I mean, one of my personal favorites is you know, The Ecstasy of Gold for The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. What a tune!
Yeah, I mean, Metallica owe him everything, right? I mean, wasn't that their intro for like Live? That was their intro for like their whole career. It's his career is just unbelievable, and you're right. That theme is amazing. Do you know? I actually went and started playing the original Red Dead Redemption as soon as I heard that he died. I was like, I'm going to play this now for a couple of weeks just to be like, I want to go back to the West.
Yeah.
Yeah,
what
tremendous career.
what a bloody great musician.
What a life!
Fantastic.
I mean,
Yeah.
what a life and career. Yeah, incredible. You could almost say he's like the Christopher Lee of scores, you know, where Christopher
Yeah.
Lee did so many acting roles and so many amazing acting roles. This guy, similar age when he died, did the same for scores.
Absolutely.
Incredible. So yeah, that's all I've got.
I've got so the Ryan Gosling Wolfman
Yes,
is going to be directed by Lee Winnell,
Lee Winnell, who did.
The Invisible Man.
Oh, wonderful! I haven't
Yeah.
seen The Invisible Man yet, but I love the look of it. I'm all for it. Ryan Gosling is a superb choice.
Yep, I agree, and I think you know, they obviously thought, you know, he did so well with the Invisible Man. Let's just give it to him. And I think
they've been so desperate to get this Dark Universe going. Yeah. They're not going to take any risks this time. They're like, no, if you could do it, because like everyone else is fucked up.
I think they offered it, and I think he turned it down. And Jason Blum himself persuaded him to take it. So, yeah. I mean, I love the Invisible Man. It's brilliant. I'm really,
very
really
much
good.
looking forward to seeing it. It's on my list.
I mean, if it's half as good as that, I think we're in for a doozy.
I love the original Wolfman as well, so I want to see it done well, done justice.
Ron Perlman says he still wants to do Guillermo del Toro's third Hellboy. Well,
that doesn't seem very likely, but
I mean, yeah.
the thing
is, like he said,
he's got to be doing it soon, though. He's pretty old.
He's 70.
A lot of stuff to be carrying around.
Yeah. But you know, I mean, I
I'd watch it. I'd be there.
I still
day
haven't
one.
got round to seeing the remake.
It's not great.
It's on Netflix, so I will get round to it.
It's not great. I didn't think it was like completely awful.
No.
But it's not great either.
It had a lot to.
It doesn't live up to it. You have to put that out of mind.
So
yeah, I mean, it doesn't live up to it at all. Apparently, it's closer to the comics. I've never read the comics, so
I've read a few of them.
Yeah, apparently this is closer, but
well, we'll see. I mean, I can't see it happening. I think
no, but I would be all for it.
Yeah, I think it's. I honestly think it's too late now, but you know, we'll see how it goes.
Absolutely.
I think that's kind of it, really.
I think so. But yeah, it's been fun, and we'll be back hopefully next week. I guess we'll see what happens. But maybe we should start doing the talk about a movie thing as well.
I think we're going to have to, aren't we?
Because we're getting to the point we keep delaying and like kind of like, oh, there's nothing this week, we'll do next week. So maybe we should pick a film. I don't know if you want to pick one now, whether we should be on the spot now. Or whether you want to do it.
I can't think of anything off the top of my head.
We'll come up with one, and we'll go back to the old Cult Corner style, where we both discuss a film as well as talking about what we've watched. So, sounds good to me. But until next time, thank you everyone for listening, and we'll catch you later.
Bye.